This is the Hot Mommy podcast.
Oh girl, you got me going psycho. Oh, I know.
My name is Kanisha. Everyone calls me Keish, but if you know me, you know my name is Kanisha. I feel like at this point, I want to come as myself. I don't want to come as anyone else this time. I am a hot mommy. My name is Kanisha Brown. I am beige and in black. I am 30. I finally joined the 30 plus group. In October, I'm a Libra and I'm an opinionated black woman. All right, guys, so today on the Hot Mommy, we're going to be talking about a couple of things today. Specifically for me, I want to get into, the elephant in the room, which is I am now a single mom. No, I did not want to be a single mom, but we cannot control, what happens in this life. We can only roll with the punches. And at the end of the day, I'm always going to do what I feel like is best for not only me, but now for my daughter. This decision did not come easy for me, obviously, because nobody wants to raise their son or daughter, kids, anything like that on their own. It's already hard enough to do things by yourself when it's just you. And now adding in that factor of having a baby, it's like, ugh, like, what am I going to do? But, I would rather have my daughter grow up in a calm environment, an environment where she sees love, an environment where she sees her mom is being loved. And I felt like, in the space that I was in, I wasn't going to receive exactly what I wanted from that. And sometimes that doesn't mean that you're going to be, arguing with your co-parenting partner. It really just means that sometimes that person isn't going to continue on your journey. You know what I mean? And that's fine. As long as you guys are not going to be negative in that setting where you're, trying to raise a kid together, because it just makes everything 100% more hard. I want to stress 100% more hard. So I think that establishing, some rules and boundaries and things that you're going to do moving forward to, just make sure that your co-parenting is going to be something that is easy for both you, the partner of co-parenting, and your kid is always the best decision, to make, rather than just sitting in that mindset that our ancestors had, or our mom and dad and grandparents had, where you're like, I want to stay for the kid, like leave for the kid. If I can say anything, leave for the kid, because at the end of the day, they're going to notice that. They might not notice when they're months old, 1 year, 2 years old, and sometimes they do notice as early as those times, but usually they're not even noticing that stuff until they're about 6 or older, sometimes even teenage years. And that means you just suffered through a lifetime of, I'm staying for the kid, when you could have left for the kid. So I think the takeaway today for me would be leave for the kid. I also want to get into working back to your spark and being your best version of you. And I want to say, give yourself grace, give yourself time. It is so easy when you're single and you break up with somebody to rush into the next situation. You cannot do that when you have children. You have to be mindful of who you're allowing into your space. You also have to be mindful in the notion that you don't even have time anymore. So where you could be like, I'm done with that person, and just be like, I'm going to move on to the next man, whatever. I'm not even focused on him. Half the time you are. But you know what? You can get over that man by getting under another one. You can no longer move that way if you want to be focused on the safety of your health. You know what I mean? So that you are in good health to take care of your kid. You don't want to be taking those hospital visits when you have a child, because you got to pick that kid up and go to the hospital. You shouldn't even be taking those hospital visits when you don't have a child. So be mindful of your health, because you do have to be there for your kid. And on top of that, you need to be careful who you're bringing in your space, because people are weird. So that's both sides, not just men. Some females are weird. They might come in and be mean to your kid. They might be coming in and do far worse. And there's a million situations where you hear essay of a partner, even when it is the parent of the kid. So it just makes it so much harder when you're bringing in another person who is not even the parent of your kid. You want to vet them to the T. And I would say, for that reason, I say take your time with getting back out there. Even me, myself, I'm like, when is a good time to even show interest in another person? And sometimes it's downloading and undownloading these apps and seeing what's out there and realizing, yeah, actually, I'm good. Because like, why would you even welcome back in that negative energy? You get on these apps and they're like, oh, let's go out tomorrow. Oh, send me a video. Oh, like it's a lot for you who's already trying to heal yourself, to have to now have all these obligations put on you by these people on these apps, expecting you to be able to text them back immediately, expecting them, to understand that you're not always available, where you can just go out on a date on spontaneous, unless you do have the support team that will watch your kid. And you can go out whenever. And for those people, congratulations. That is not me. So me personally, I love spending time with my daughter. I'm not easily pawning her off onto anyone, nor do I have the space to be pawning her off to anyone if I wanted to. So I really dive deep into the idea of just being with my daughter, raising her, to be the best version of herself, the best woman, and just trying to be someone she could look up to in the future. A no-nonsense, strict, tight ship ran, but also loving, caring, and mother that is there for her. So I'm praying that she picks up on that stuff as she gets older. I want to say that with moving forward, you need to learn to move forward, which is something that I've always had a hard time with. I feel like I grow strong bonds with people, and it's so hard for me to detach from that. So something that I'm working on right now is detachment. Sometimes you get stuck in a relationship, not because the relationship is good for you, not because that person is pouring into you and the best person for you, and it's so hard to leave. You get stuck in that relationship because you're comfortable. And I think that is the biggest red flag that I have, and that many people do have. And it's really just the comfortability with the person. That is not your soulmate. Understand that if that was your soulmate, you would have no complaints. The complaints that you did have would be so minuscule that you wouldn't even feel like it's a complaint. Like, oh, you didn't bring out the trash today. That's a small complaint to wipe your hands clear of. But complaints about liking, following, showing too much love, and interacting with other females or males in ways that you feel uncomfortable is nothing to feel like you have to settle for. There's 1,000,001 other fish in this sea, and y'all better start sharking, because there's no need to stick around for stuff like that. At the end of the day, there's somebody out there for everybody. Find your person. Do not let your girlfriend or boyfriend stop you from finding your wife or husband. That is tea. So please move on. Don't sit around for years and let your youth go to waste. Men, women, none of that. For nobody who's not willing to put out 100% efforts for you. And that is something that I had to learn the hard way, but it's learned, promise. I also want to say, don't let someone love you the way they want to love you. They have to love you the way you want to be loved, or you're going to feel incomplete throughout that whole situation. And eventually it's going to end. It might be ended in a month, a year, or it could be ended in 15 years, death sentence, because that's what I call that. It's a sentence. It's a bid. If you stay with somebody who you're not happy with, and you at the end of the day didn't get nothing out of that situation, you just did a bid, and you came out older, you came out washed up, you came out with trauma, you came out hurt. Why would you want to stay and give up all the happiness? You might as well be by yourself if it's going to come down to the fact that you just stayed somewhere where you're unhappy. I am not for that. Not with a job. I've never been like that. If I'm unhappy in a job, I'm leaving that job. I'm going to look for the next job. If I'm unhappy with a person, I'm leaving that person. Anybody that I've been with, I tell them, I'm not about to cheat on you. If I'm unhappy with you, I'm going to leave. I'll let you know that we're not going to work out and move forward. And that doesn't mean that it stops when you have a kid, that you need that person. You need to pull up your pants and be an adult and move forward and realize that you have to do certain things on your own. Even if it's the harder decision, that's what you need to do to be the best version of yourself. Because when you depend on other people for your happiness, when they leave, then you have nothing. You're just going to sit in sorrow. So you don't want to put your whole mood, happiness, life on somebody else, because if something happens, even if that person passes away, God forbid, you now have to depend on yourself. So I think that digging within and seeing, how can I be happy just me as a person, you can deliver yourself better to the next person that you're gonna be with, or you can just deliver yourself better for you. So I'm praying that today was just an introduction to what I'm going through in life. I know that there's other people who are going through the same things that I'm going through in life, and I want to start touching base on those topics, as it is something that is so prominent, specifically in the Black neighborhood, where there's homes that are separated for whatever which reason, relationships that don't last, parenting that doesn't mesh well together. I say choose your partner well. Anyone who's asked me, specifically my clients ask me a lot, like, would you recommend, somebody said, would you recommend having a baby? I'm like, I can't recommend having a baby. I've never even had one. But then also too, like, I can't recommend having a baby because I can't choose your partner. And you know, the partner is what makes it worthwhile at the end of the day. Yes, the kid does, but having the right partner is what really makes having a family, getting married, and all these things that you wish for worthwhile, because you can have all of that and still be miserable. So I can only give my opinion on how things went for me. Choose your partners wisely, guys. That's all I can say. So I'm glad that I got to introduce myself to you guys. I'm really grateful for God coming to me and speaking to me and telling me to tell my story. I have so much to tell, not even within the situation that I have right now, but with many situations in my life. I feel like I'm a little emotional right now because I already know that I'm going to be letting people into my life in a way that I've never done before. And I hope that you guys are receptive to it. And I literally cringe at people who cry on camera, but I just want to come as my authentic self. And that person is someone who has been hurt and who is healing and who is truly doing the work to be a better person. And I just hope that I can be an inspiration for somebody else out there. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Hot Mommy podcast. I'm excited to be able to give you guys a little bit of insight of my life. I feel like other people always tell someone else's life, why not tell your own? And I feel like I have a lot of experience in things where I can be type of mentor or inspiration for somebody to show that you can get over a lot of bad things that do happen to you, even though you couldn't control those things. I pray for everybody who is going to be following me on this journey. Something about this situation has really talked to me and told me that I need to tell my story. And I hope that you guys are along for this ride. I have 1,000,001 story times, not all sad, some are good, but I'm happy to be able to share my life with you guys, and I hope that you guys are here to hear it. So thank you.